Today we're going to take the MT-09 up to Bald Eagle Park, a very nice place to ride. Yesterday, to be honest, I went out in some crappy conditions. It had just rained and it was looking like it's going to be raining today even. And the roads were wet and full of wet leaves, but I did get to check out the traction control in combination with the quick shifter, and the combination of both is just great. I knew the traction control was good, and it's even better in these wet leaves, and I've felt it kick on many times already. But the quick shifter, I never expected it to be this much fun. I'm hoping I can get out there. It's very foggy in the morning. I'm hoping it's going to be a little nicer this afternoon. Going to head out on the open road and see if we can wear out our quick shifter. Now, there's always things in life that you anticipate being great. Christmas Day when you're a kid, for instance, and then somewhere down the road it doesn't really work out, and you get you get underwear instead of Lionel trains or something. But the quick shifter is not like that. I knew it would be fun. Other people had told me it's a blast. It is really fun, and what it reminds me of even more. See. The MT-09 reminds me of the RD in the fact that you're constantly going through the gears. The R1, not so much, because it's geared so high, you can go 100 miles an hour in first gear. So, it's a different kind of a ride. It's an exciting ride, but on the MT-09 you're always going through the gears. So that added a nice dimension. It's on the previous video, on I think yesterday's video, but I'm not sure. Yeah, and we even got a test ride at the end of that day, but it was in such sloppy conditions, and it rained a little bit, and it's in those conditions you enjoy the ride, but not as much as if it, not today, maybe a little different. The sun is supposed to come out in the afternoon, but even if it doesn't, it's still better than a day on Rikers Island. And if there ever was a bike that could use a quick shifter, boy, would this be great if you had a plug-and-play quick shifter for this bike. I'm not sure it's going to happen though. But I know the one on the R1 is a big job to install, so I'm not really enthusiastic about doing that until the real winter sets in, and I know I'm not going to be able to ride every day. In the meantime, I want to ride every day I possibly can. Now, as crappy of a day as it looks like this is, and it's cloudy and there's mist in the air and everything, I still just can't wait to get out on the open road. This bike, when you wake up in the morning, you're brushing your teeth and you're already thinking about going through the gears. It's uncanny how this bike grows on you. Okay guys, I'm not going out on the open road without feeding you, that's for sure. So what we need is a final cup of coffee, feed the birds, make sure everybody's happy that Karen's honey-do list is complete, and we're ready to head out and hope for some sunshine this afternoon. Looks like the birds are hungrier than ever as the weather gets cooler. And there's our quick shifter light, all set to go. And it is super cloudy. It's gonna rain any minute. But the rain won't keep us from having a good time, that's for sure. Now what's happening today as we get up in the higher elevations, the mountaintops are in the fog. And it's still raining ever so slightly, but it's not ruining the ride because it's a nice temperature. It's in the 60s. And of course the roads are wet, but look at this. This is pretty funny. The only spot of the tire that's dry. Wow. But we are at least having a ride, and a ride is always better than no ride. And at least the scenery was pretty today. And I never get sick of looking at the beautiful fall leaves. Just thank God for traction control. And most of the roads were wet, some were dry, but
and it doesn't look like there's any chance at all it's going to stop raining. So, well, sometimes you just got to roll with the punches. I guess today is one of those days, but we're getting some good practice and seeing how the MT-09 likes the rain.
And I did get to try that rain mode, and the rain mode worked pretty good. And you can see here how many leaves are on the road as we get into the park. Bald Eagle Park.
Now this is something I wanted to do since I actually bought the bike. I'm by Bald Eagle Park here, and this is a rock wall, a famous rock wall. Let me explain why it's famous, because when I bought the R1, and it was in the middle of the winter, I came up here and took the first set of pictures of the bike. And I have those in my shop. I made a poster out of them. If you ever look in the background of where we're working in the winter, it's on this rock wall, and it was all covered with ice and snow. Well, right now it's covered with leaves, and we are not going to get to check anything on dry roads today. The roads have been wet for virtually the whole day.
I'll show that picture somewhere later on the video. It's a pretty memorable picture for me. And you get a few dry spots on the road, but mostly, look at that fog. And look at that scenery. Wow. At least one thing, there's no salt on the road.
So if you want to see what kind of a day it is very, very scenic, of course, with the leaves all being wet. But check this out. Check the fog on the top of the mountain here. Wow, that's pretty cool. Now I know a lot of people don't like to ride under anything but perfect conditions, but this is a good experience for me, and I just love having that traction control working. Wow.
And without traction control, it'd be a lot less fun. And those wet leaves just blowing across the street constantly. But it still turned out to be a fun day. And anytime I can get a ride, I want to ride. Good to be back home. I know Karen's got the coffee cooking. She always does. She hears that bike come in the driveway, and the next thing I know, I can smell coffee in the garage.
I'm soaking wet. Put some coffee on. Big coffee. I'll clean the bike. I'm soaked. The roads were dry on the way home, but I know the bike needs to be cleaned. And now the most fun. You get back from a ride. Now it's been 2 days in a row I've ridden, and the roads have been sloppy and wet, and today was raining. So it's a good time to share a few tips of cleaning up the bike. I always use compressed air to get in by the engine and parts that I definitely can't get a rag. A really useful hint: never try to clean a hot exhaust system, even a warm one, or the muffler. I like to just have a cup of coffee, and Karen's making coffee now, and wait patiently until it's time. The let is all nice and cool. We'll come out and polish that. And this is the picture. I just wanted to show this while I'm drying off my leathers here.
this is the picture from the ice, I call the ice wall in Bald Eagle Park. That is where we were today. And who would have known back then, this was bought in 2009, who would have known 11 years later where my life was taking me with all these restorations and all these adventures, and just to be honest, a lot of fun too. Now, after wiping the jacket dry as much as I could, luckily I just Neatsford oiled this the other day. But I want to be able to ride tomorrow. Now, if the heat were on in the house, we don't have the real heat on yet. I'd hang it up by the heating vent. It's still wet up here. But I do want it to be dry for tomorrow. And it is supposed to get really, really cold tomorrow. And I got to get out there and finish cleaning the bike. But just getting this dry, getting the bike ready for tomorrow, be a big step. I'll sleep better knowing that. So one of the things today I got to try, of course, most of the time I'm riding around, it's in standard mode, and that's, I think, the most comfortable for street riding. But in the aggressive mode, it's a little too quick throttle for my taste for riding around on slippery roads. But I got to check the rain mode today, and the rain mode is exceptionally good. Now what happens is, when the roads are really slippery, especially with leaves, and you're in a low gear and you whack the throttle wide open, you almost always spin the tire. And in this case, because I'm in setting 2 of the traction control, the traction control kicks right in. Well, that's a nice safe, especially on roads like today. But what's going to happen, I need some dry roads that I can really push this to the limit a little bit more. But what's happening now, we're coming up on, very soon we're going to come up on the 4,000 mile service. But that rain mode works, as I said, the rain mode works good. The quick shifter worked great the other day until the roads got really slippery, and they were slippery the whole day today. So I really didn't get a chance to check that. I really want to do some checking with the ABS too and try to lock up the wheel on some wet roads and just see how that works out. Didn't get to do that today, but I did get to check the rain mode, and the rain mode worked great. Now, of course, one of the things I truly enjoy about motorcycling, I do like having a clean motorcycle. I understand not everybody cares. I understand not everybody is able to do it. Well, I should talk. You don't have the time or the energy or whatever, the inclination to do it, but I do enjoy it. And when I get back from one of these rides, actually I should have done this yesterday, but I had my grandson here. I try to go over it. I first do the compressed air thing, try to blow all the water out from in between little funny spots, and then I just try to go over everything with the Meguiar's, I don't know what you call a spray cleaner, quick wax, whatever it is. And it really does a nice job of cleaning things up. But when I finish the bike, and I'll spend a good half hour here because tomorrow I want to ride the bike, and tomorrow we have a cold front coming in. So hopefully we will not have this fog and rain and everything that we had today. But I do want to thank the healthcare workers. Boy, oh boy, you can't imagine how much I appreciate. I'm able to go out riding even on a crappy day like this, and I always have that in the back of my mind. Very, very soon it's going to really get cold, and then it won't be wiping a bike off in 10 minutes. It's going to be the road salt. Once they salt the roads, this then becomes a nightmare of a job. But anyway, I did want to share those little tips, share the little ride, and of course, guys, again, thank you, healthcare workers, thank you so much. It's so appreciated. And hope you enjoyed sharing our little rain day ride. And Bald Eagle Park, I have that, the true thing, I have that picture in the cellar of the R1 by that same rock wall. Now I'm going to make a picture of this and blow it up, and I'll have them side by side in the winter. That's a true story. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. There were some great memories today, seeing where I was 11 years ago and thinking about what's happened in the past 11 years, how many motorcycles I've bought and sold and ridden and had fun with Luciano and track days and God knows what else. And still being in touch with my friends like Ray that have some of my bikes, my old bikes that, there's just too much to even mention. Just a ton of fun. And getting those magazines from John Pothier with my father's life story in it, it just couldn't be any better. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're out riding in a bright sunny day and you don't need your traction control. And thanks so much, guys. Thank you so much for watching.